Hello, friends. This is Josh Ayen from the MIC Network. I am joined alongside Daryl Morton Jr., Tony Leach from Prep Ball Stars, Kyle Neddenriep from the IndyStar, the high school sports reporter, and a member of the 1980 Broad Ripple State Champion team, Reggie Session. Guys, we are through to the second round of the Champion of Champions Central Indiana Tournament. A lot to talk about over the next 10 minutes. Some huge upsets, including both Washington Continental teams knocked out. Over in the Northwest region, you had the 1965 Washington team. They were a 3 seed in that region, getting knocked out by the 1989 Lawrence North Wildcats. And the biggest upset of round one, the 1969 Washington Continentals team, led by George McGinnis, got knocked out by 1999 North Central. Kyle, I see you shaking your head over there. What are your thoughts on that upset?
I've written a lot about that team over the years, and I know those guys would be very upset to know they got knocked out in the first round. McGinnis, Downing, Pack, Jim Arnold, that's one of the all-time great teams in not only Central Indiana but the whole state. That was I think they scored over 100 maybe 15 times that season. That was a dominant Washington team in '69.
Well, this isn't your fathers and grandfathers voting poll. You kind of know that. So I think that factored in. You mentioned Kyle, good to see you, by the way, but great team. So in mythical and otherwise, they should certainly still be playing.
Yeah, McGinnis and Downing, there is no way they go down in the first round anywhere at any time.
No.
Well, you speak about some of the voting results too. We had a late surge at the 11th hour. Broad Ripple, the 1980 Broad Ripple Rockets, at the 11th hour made it through to the second round. Daryl, I know you were doing your part to try and reach out to the Broad Ripple alumni, and because of them, they were able to get past 2010 North Central. It looked pretty dire for a moment, but Daryl, again, you tried to do some persuading and trying to reach out to some alum. That was a close call there by the Rockets.
Well, the Ripple alumni base, people don't realize how strong that base is. It's a really, really strong group of fans. That black and orange is deep. And Reggie, I'm sure you can talk about that a little bit yourself.
Oh, Bill Smith was a heck of a coach. Very, very demanding, high expectations for us. I think one of the things he probably did as well as any coach was to prepare us for adversity, because his thing was that in every game there's going to be a point of adversity. And the great teams respond to adversity. Teams that are mentally tough fold. So I think he did a great job preparing us mentally for any opponent that we would face.
Okay, but real quick, take us back to that semi-state game. How would he prepare you for that that shot against Marion that Stacy hit?
You know what? Believe it or not, we didn't panic. We had gotten in foul trouble late in the game, and Coach Smith said, well, hold on. We've been through tough situations before. We had played a very good George Washington team, very close. Late in the game, we had played a very good Tech team late in the game. So Smitty just was, hey, hold on, we'll find a way to get this game to overtime. Most certainly, we didn't expect that shot to go in, but we were prepared to get them to overtime. Where at that point we thought we had the advantage, but we didn't panic because we had played tough games against very, very good teams here in the city before that game.
Well, folks, let's take a look at the second round. We're down to the Sweet 16. So through the play-in rounds and the first round, this is now the Final Four in the Southeast region. Rolling with the chalk in this one. You got 2018 Warren Central still rolling through. They're taking on a 2013 Carmel team led by Ryan Klein. And in the bottom half of this bracket, you've got 1998 Pike, the 2 seed, taking on the most recent state champions in Class 4A, the 2019 Carmel Greyhounds. Guys, real quick, what are your thoughts? Who advances to the Elite Eight?
Well, I like that Warren Central team. They managed to beat everybody. We all know, so many close games that season. But yeah, 2013 Carmel, that was another kind of a similar type of team as Warren. That they just managed to, just flat out tough you most of the time. And Michael Volovic, was a key part of that team as well. They were so good defensively. Sam Kurtz and Ben Gardner. That team kind of
Josh McRoberts.
that team. Yeah, McRoberts was a junior that year. Really good,
Yeah.
really good. That'd be a great matchup to see, not only on paper but in real life. That'd be a fun game to watch.
I would agree, though. I would take Warren. It's even, at least right now, it's hard for me to see. I mean, Warren just they had an amazing year, and they were really cardiac kids. Seemed like every time it looked like they might go down, they found a way. So I think they would find a way. They were similarly built to that 2013 Carmel team, and I think they would find a way to advance.
And I agree with everything that both you gentlemen have said there, and I certainly would not pick against Warren Central in that game.
Well, let's see what the fans decide in this region. Moving on to the Northwest region, you've got still both the 1955 Crispus Attucks teams and 56 Crispus Attucks teams involved in this bracket. You've also got Lawrence North from 1989 still active, as well as 2015 Park Tudor. Is it possible we're going to be seeing an Attucks versus Attucks matchup in the Elite Eight?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you look at the rosters, there's certainly a possibility in terms of who they're playing, but don't be surprised if that 1989 LN team kind of, makes a run there and might pull off the upset.
We're seeing a very fiery Lawrence North squad. I know the initial reaction when we unveiled the number 1 seeds, there were Lawrence North fans storming on Twitter and Instagram saying, why were the 2000s Lawrence North teams not a number 1 seed, or even this 1989 team considered? So I'm sure we're going to be seeing a very fired up fan base looking to see that 1989 squad move on to the Elite Eight.
Okay.
All right, and moving on to the Southwest region. Of course, we already talked about 1969 Washington being knocked out. 1999 North Central will be taking on 2005 Lawrence North. Meanwhile, 1995 Ben Davis is taking on 1980 Broad Ripple. That's a really solid matchup for this region. I'm having trouble leaning towards one particular team.
Yeah, that 95 Ben Davis team too. They had to get through Washington at Hinkle in one of the all-time classic games. That was, at the time, was the end of the Washington school.
Was that Rodney Carney?
Yeah, that was a great game. So that Ben Davis team was well tested.
Right.
Wow, I tell you, they were well tested, but again, that 80 Rockets team was well tested as well. So that would be a huge matchup right there. And I tell you what, a 2 versus 3, I'd have to give the edge to the Rockets, and of course, you know why. I will give the edge to the Rockets.
Unbiased opinion, Daryl.
Your unbiased
something to keep in
professional
mind.
opinion.
Something to keep in mind about that Broad Ripple team. If you recall, we beat the defending state champs, which was Muncie Central, on a neutral site midway through this season. So we were a very, very battle-tested team come the end of the year.
Oh, no question.
Well, again, 2 very battle-tested teams. And again, I'm having trouble leaning towards either side. Really curious to see what the fans will think in the over the next 24 hours. And finally, in the Northeast region, you've still got 2003 Pike in play. You've also got a pair of Lawrence North teams from the early 2000s still alive in this bracket. So 2003 Pike is taking on Lawrence North from 2004. And finally, 2006 Lawrence North will be taking on the 2003 Chatard Trojans. Again, I think we're going to be seeing another case of one team from one era taking on a very similar team from a couple of years later.
Well, I'll tell you what, that 2003 Pike team was absolutely loaded. And I think going up against 2004 Lawrence North, I think the experience alone on that team is going to pull 2003 Pike through in this matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, those Pike teams of the early 2000s you're right, Daryl, absolutely loaded. And I would probably also pick Pike in that matchup. Lawrence North at that point, as great as they were, still a little bit on the young side, but that 06 Lawrence North team looming down there at the bottom of that bracket was, obviously an exceptional team. And I think they would be tough. They got to be one of the best teams in this bracket, all things considered.
No question. I mean, they had 29-0, and National Player of the Year in Greg Oden that year. So yeah, that'd be a tough game for Chatard, certainly.
Well, we will definitely see who advances out of the Sweet 16 and into the Elite Eight. Fans, it's time for you to decide on Monday around noon. Look out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Polls are going to be open around that time. Cast your vote to who advances to the Elite Eight. We're going to do the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight this week on Monday. Again, the Sweet 16 votes will be open. That's on Facebook with the MIC Network, MIC Network IN on Twitter, and MIC Network IN on Instagram. And then later on this week, be on the lookout for our Elite Eight polls. We'll be back here on Zoom breaking down the results and see who we think should take the title of the champion of champions in Central Indiana.